Russia's continuing attempts to market its Su-57 and Su-35 fighter jets to India reflect a broader trend of a declining defense industry trying to stay afloat in the wake of devastating sanctions, diplomatic isolation, industrial degradation, and battlefield exposure. This is not a genuine offer grounded in the delivery of combat-proven next-generation technology. It is an act of desperation from a supplier whose premier aerospace products have consistently failed to deliver on promises, failed to demonstrate superiority in any high-end conflict, and failed to attract major global buyers. The Su-35 is Russia's so-called 4++ generation aircraft, positioned by Russian state media and officials as a superior non-stealth air superiority platform. However, the aircraft's actual combat history paints a drastically different picture. The Russian Air Force has used the Su-35 extensively in Ukraine since 2022, where its shortcomings have been systematically exposed. Several Su-35s have been confirmed destroyed by Ukrainian air defenses, including mid-range SAM systems like Buk M1 and S-300 variants. The aircraft's sensors, radar warning receivers, countermeasures, and pilot survivability have all failed under modern battlefield conditions. These are not hypotheticals or simulations. These are actual losses in contested airspace, where a supposed top-tier aircraft failed to avoid detection, avoid lock-on, or defend itself. It is even more concerning that many of these losses occurred without any modern Western fighter aircraft operating against them, no F-35s, no Rafales, no Typhoons. Su-35s were defeated by ground-based systems in a war where Russia was supposed to have air superiority. This directly undermines any claims that the aircraft could survive in a future Indo-Pacific battlefield where modern surface-to-air missile networks and potential fifth-generation fighters may be in play. If the Su-35 cannot survive a battlefield dominated by 30 to 40-year-old Soviet SAMs, operated by a nation under siege, how can it be expected to contribute to the air superiority posture of a regional power? Then there is the matter of the Su-57, a program riddled with inconsistencies, failures, contradictions, and a public relations campaign that stretches the limits of credibility. The Su-57 was first flown over 14 years ago, and yet as of 2025, it still does not exist in true squadron service in meaningful numbers. Russia claims it has inducted some aircraft, but reports suggest these are pre-production models, not full-rate combat-ready aircraft. Many lack the critical second-stage engines necessary to match the performance specifications that have been advertised. The aircraft still uses the AL-41F1 engine, which is a modified version of the engine used on the Su-35, not a clean-sheet design. The Izdaliye 30 engine, supposedly the true powerplant for the Su-57, remains in flight testing. There is no evidence of reliable production or long-term testing under operational conditions. The Su-57 is also flawed in its most important attribute, stealth. The airframe shows numerous RCS radar cross-section hotspots, including engine nozzles, undercarriage shapes, and the canopy frame. Radar-absorbent coatings, which are critical in reducing RCS, are known to be expensive and maintenance-intensive, yet there is no evidence that Russia has developed a coating that meets fifth-gen durability and performance standards. Unlike Western stealth fighters, the Su-57 lacks internal system fusion, has limited low probability of intercept data link capability, and is not built around an integrated electronic warfare package. When the FGFA, fifth-generation fighter aircraft program, a collaboration between HAL and Sukhoi, was abandoned by India in 2018, it wasn't due to financial issues or political differences. It was abandoned because of a fundamental lack of capability on the Russian side. Indian officials, including the Air Force leadership, were reportedly disappointed with the lack of transparency, the failure to meet fifth-gen benchmarks, and the refusal by Moscow to provide full access to flight control software, engine specifications, and radar source codes. Even after years of partnership, Russia was unwilling or unable to allow genuine joint development. Now, with global sanctions cutting off Russia from high-end markets and foreign investment, they are suddenly offering full source code access. This is not a serious gesture of trust, it is a clear red flag indicating desperation. Furthermore, Russia's defense industrial base is under strain at every level. Sanctions have hit key aerospace suppliers, access to Western CNC machining tools, composites, processors, and semiconductors is virtually non-existent, and foreign skilled labor and capital investment have vanished. Domestic production of critical subsystems, including radar processors, cockpit avionics, thermal imaging sensors, and mission computers, has been severely degraded. Even basic tasks like aircraft servicing and maintenance scheduling have been disrupted due to shortages of imported lubricants, engine parts, and electronic components. Indian acquisition of new Russian platforms under such conditions is not just risky, it is irresponsible. Russia simply does not have the industrial stability to support long-term after-sales service or guarantee upgrade pathways. The integration challenges are also enormous. Indian combat platforms are increasingly network-centric, operating across air, ground, and naval domains, with joint operations doctrine evolving around real-time data sharing, encrypted communications, multi-platform fusion, and dynamic targeting. Russian jets, Su-35 or Su-57, are fundamentally incompatible with Western and indigenous data links, IFF protocols, and sensor sharing systems. Integrating them would require costly and time-consuming customizations that would never be fully reliable or future-proof. This adds another layer of complexity in an already diverse force structure, further stressing logistics, pilot training, mission planning software, spare parts management, and airworthiness oversight. Adding to the problems is the complete lack of international validation. No major air force has ordered the Su-57. There are rumors of limited interest from smaller countries, but no firm orders. Even close allies of Russia have hesitated. Russia's own military is not fielding it in serious numbers. The Su-57 lacks exercises, real-world combat data, joint training history, or certification for integration into modern multinational air operations. Contrast this with the F-35, which operates in over 15 countries, flies over 500 missions daily, and has participated in exercises across continents. The comparison isn't even close. Another major issue is strategic dependence. Accepting Russian aircraft would commit India to decades of maintenance contracts, software support agreements, upgrade timelines, and spare parts dependency from a country under siege economically and diplomatically. The same country that delayed MiG-29K spares, struggled with Su-30, MKI, upgrades, and failed to meet even basic contract timelines would now be responsible for India's most critical next-gen air power tools. That is not strategic planning, it is self-inflicted vulnerability. In the face of all this, India's best path forward remains clear: invest in domestic R&D programs like AMCA, accelerate Tejas Mk2 induction, and engage in selective collaboration with countries that offer real technology transfer, transparent supply chains, and demonstrated combat success. The United States, France, Israel, and select European partners offer clearer, cleaner, and more reliable options for the future. Russia's offer is a last-ditch effort to preserve its fading influence in India's defense sector. It is built on marketing, inflated promises, and geopolitical manipulation, not on engineering, combat performance, or industrial honesty. Accepting Su-35 or Su-57 fighters would be a strategic regression. It would anchor India to an unstable supplier, delay true modernization, and risk failure in the very conflicts these aircraft are supposed to deter.